Hi there, I'm Ben Beadle. I'm the Chief Executive of the National Residential Landlords Association.
Brilliant. And for obviously the young people that may be watching this, could you just briefly explain what that job role entails?
Yeah, sure. So we are a trade body that represents property owners, people that let their property out to tenants. And we have around 90,000 landlords across England and Wales. And we provide services like advice and support, legal documents and forms so that landlords can manage their properties and their tenancies. And we also do things like training and provide services. But our main reason for operating is to give landlords representation in politics, so at Westminster and at Cardiff Bay, around the issues that affect their day-to-day businesses. So you'll find us talking up landlords and talking about policy changes that we want to see to improve the private rented sector.
Fabulous. Now, obviously, when you were a wee lad, I can't imagine you were sitting at school thinking, I want to be the Chief Executive of the National Landlords Association. So how did you get here, Ben?
Well, it's a question I ask myself time and time again. And if you are asking yourself at the moment, what do I want to do? Then let me first start by telling you that I didn't know that I wanted to either be in property or to have the privilege of being the boss of this organisation. But I left university. I was studying English literature. You can see all my wonderful books behind me here.
So bookshelves are the thing on Zoom at the minute, aren't they? I'm trying to have a look, see if I see anything interesting.
That's the story of Barbar, I'm afraid. So that shows you the extent of my English literature degree, which I didn't achieve. I went into property. I started out in lettings and property management for an independent firm in West London. And I really liked it. I became the manager. I then headed up property management as well as lettings. I then wanted to branch out and stay within property, but to do a slightly different environment. And that was, at the time, it was 2008. And Zoe, you'll probably remember, a year prior, tenancy deposit protection was brought in, and that was a scheme that protects tenants' money in the case of them not getting it back or it being lost or misappropriated. And I joined the tenancy deposit scheme to firstly as a casework manager and adjudicator dealing with deposit disputes, working out who should get the money. I then headed up the membership team and was responsible for recruitment of agents and looking after them and setting up new schemes. I then became a director for customer service, set up new schemes in Scotland and Northern Ireland, where I became the managing director of our Northern Ireland operation. And I then moved on after a fairly lengthy career at TDS to join the Places for People housing group, which is one of those cradle to grave housing companies that have basically got a house at whatever stage of life you are at. And I spent a couple of years there. And then I got this wonderful job, and this is where I've been ever since.
But when you were at school, what did you? Obviously, you said you didn't complete your degree. So,
correct.
Did you do the sort of traditional GCSEs and A levels prior to that?
Yeah, that's right. I did.
So how did you make the right choices then? Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do?
No, I had absolutely zero idea, and I probably fretted like a lot of you guys watching this are fretting at the moment. And my advice would be to kind of choose something that you like. If you know that you definitely want to do something, then good for you. Make it happen. I had no clue as to what I wanted to do or how I would go about it, and I chose subjects and areas that I enjoyed. On the basis that if I like doing something, I might hopefully be good at it. Still to be found out in this job, but that was my strategy, and it served me okay so far.
So what were you like at school then? Were you sort of the quiet one in the corner? Were you a bit of a tearaway?
I was the one that passed his driving test first, so invariably was carting all his mates
Okay.
around and couldn't have a drink. So I've obviously had to make up for lost time. But yeah, I was a fairly studious individual, a decent sense of humour that has stayed with me. And yeah, passed my driving test first time and was ferrying people about from a very early age.
Fantastic. So I also see on your CV you are or were a JP, Justice of
Oh
the
yes, that's
Peace.
right.
How did you get into that? And is that something that it's quite a natural progression, or is it just something that I fancy doing this, you know, and you got involved? How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I am still a justice of the peace or a magistrate. People may be more familiar with the term, and I've actually it's my 10th year this year, which is slightly scary. I The reason I chose to go into that is again, you know, I think if you're looking at you know, doing a particular discipline or looking to get into a particular role, it isn't always about the qualifications that you bring to the table. It can be around your experiences. So one of the things that I've done over my career is to, you know, do quite a bit of voluntary work, sit on scrutiny boards for housing associations, look at the way that they work. And to me, being a magistrate was you know, another kind of venture into that world and trying to add another string to my bow. I was encouraged to go into it, and it's a really fascinating thing to do. I would heartily recommend it to anybody.
So 2 questions that have come up now as a result of this is, one, have you studied law at any point? And the second question is politics going to be the next progression for you? Is that where you think you're going to end up?
Interesting. Well, dealing with the first point, I've studied various points of law, but not anything that you would constitute, you know, being an end-to-end process. But if the question is, do you need to study law to be a magistrate? No, you don't. The idea of the magistracy, which has been around for 650 years, is that it is local people operating in their local environment, trying or dispensing justice locally. There are obviously a range of means available to magistrates. So you sit as a bench of 3. Actually, now you sit as a bench of 2 because of COVID, and we can't be that close to each other. And you sit with a legal advisor who guides you on points of law, so that you're always kind of sticking within the framework and not going too rogue. The second question, I think, you know, would I go into politics? Well, I would never say never, but I'm quite happy where I am for the moment. You know, as you've probably seen, we do a lot of policy work and campaigning, and again, it's a really fascinating area, and it just shows actually that, you know, the housing industry is so wide. So for those of you that are thinking about a career in housing, you know, you might ordinarily think about your traditional letting or sales agent. Well, you know, housing associations, there are other types of products and services out there that are complementary to the housing sector. There's probably something to for everybody. So, you know, have a good look.
Yeah. So just finally then, if anyone was thinking of trying to sort of get into the housing industry, is there a sort of a best path to take? Or is it just generally get your exams, get some work experience? I mean, what would you advise yourself or anybody else that would be looking at it now?
Yeah, I mean, you can, you know, I would still encourage professional development and qualification, and there are a number of organisations, mine included, that do that. But my friends at Property Mark do a fabulous job with qualification. That would be a good place to look at. There are also colleges that have those courses available as well, so you can go to them for study. I think that's one option. I also think, you know, there's nothing quite like getting your hands dirty and starting at the, you know, in the front line if you have an interest there, or a combination of the two. I think, you know, if you show that you are qualified and up to speed with certainly the main issues of lettings and property management or sales, if you were to go into that, then that would stand you in good stead for any future applications that you would make.
Thank you very much for your time today, Ben.
No problem. There's plenty of opportunity out there, and if anyone wants to contact me, you'll find me on social media. Very happy to help.
Thank you.